Welcome to day 2 of the Back on Track experience. I'm coming in hot live from Nelson, New Zealand, and it is pouring rain, which I think is quite beautiful for the theme of today because it's all about letting go to let in, setting boundaries, and raising our energy vibration. So here's what you can expect from today. We're going to play around what is your power circle. Like you're going to be able to draw, get creative if you want, to drawing where your inner power lies and discover how to not get knocked off track throughout the day by circumstances like the weather or like other people's energy. Okay, that may be more negative than where you like to keep yours, to keep your energy. You can also expect to play with embodying your divinity while also being very human. You'll get to dabble in the dance between human ego and soul practically and without being either airy-fairy or too woo-woo, really grounded in your humanness. And then you'll get to find out how to keep your energy in high vibe, but wink, 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 even if you think this is impossible. It's not about, putting on a face, making sure everything's always perfect. That's not what we're doing. I'm going to teach you how to recognize within yourself where your energy is at. And we're going to mirror that with actual tangible ways that it can show up in your life. Okay. And I was just asking Lakshmi and Julianne, who are here live with me today, how they're feeling and how they would want to feel. So if you want to also play that and you want to let me know how you're feeling and how you want to feel, put it in the Telegram channel. This is where you get to be coached. And even if you're wanting to be supported based on whatever life is throwing at you that has you feeling a little off track and like you want more clarity about what's next for you, just bring it to the Telegram group. This is where you can be coached and supported and stretched with anything. Okay, I'm here for you this week. This is a group for you. Let me begin by giving you a little bit of a fact that can uplift or motivate you. This comes from Bronnie Ware. She's an Australian author who wrote the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, A Life Transformed by the Dearly Departing. And after spending a lot of time by the bedside of the dying, she says that the number one regret was not to live authentically as themselves. These people on their way to transitioning out of the embodied human life into their next chapter of their soul, the number one regret was to not live authentically to themselves, a life true to them versus the life that is expected, what they may think of shoulds and have tos and needs to. And so this can relate to how you see boundaries and how thin your boundaries may be. So we're going to play on what you get to let go of in regards to beliefs and ways of being so that you can really live in alignment and grounded. It's a little bit like when we want to have more space in our house, we declutter. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of decluttering, but have you ever decluttered? Like gone through major declutters? Yeah. So we get to let go of some beliefs and ways of being in order to make room for new ones. Okay. And sometimes it can feel like the Marie Kondo way. Does this bring me joy? Does this belief support my soul self or does it not? And then we'll get to play with that. Okay. Like a tornado takes everything out except what it's in its center. When you're in the eye of the tornado, things don't move as fast. They don't get lifted and destroyed as much. It's like when you're rooted in regards to your circumstances. Things can be going on around you and you can still stay grounded in the essence of who you are. And in day 2 of the Back on Track experience, we're going to play with that. Little wink to day 1. If you haven't yet caught day 1, do it on your own time. That was all about aligning with your present moment awareness on all three human layers of yourself. We had you enter the awareness wheel based on how your body was talking to you, or your mind, what was going on inside your mind, and what maybe the emotions were showing up for you. And I added a bonus video, which you can find on the replay page of the Back on Track replays. Now, I do have the link very handy here for you that I'm going to drop inside our Zoom room chat, just in case that you want to put it up on your screen for later. There's a bonus video that has me walk through different ways to have a morning routine that aligns with where you're at based on where you're entering the awareness wheel from. Because the most life-affirming way to access confidence, raise your energy frequency, have that motivation and that upliftment that you want to live in a more consistent way in your life, is to be in the present moment with all 5 layers of yourself. So day 1 was kind of the introduction to help you to do that. And the bonus video supports you to get creative with ways that a morning routine could look like for you. Okay? All right. I want to share what my story of what I had to let go of and what it gave space for, so that maybe it can give you a glimpse of what's possible for you. And so when you're listening to this story, I invite you to just kind of tune in and see where that may speak to you. Even if it's not exactly the same, what is speaking to you? Okay, and then you can share in the chat what part is speaking to you. The story in itself is about extremes and how being rooted in anything else but myself didn't help. Okay, imagine this. I'm sitting in a ball hunched over my knees behind my desk. I used to work at a circus events company, and I was in charge of selling events and putting these events, like I had the client, and basically my role was I was a sales rep, and I was helping the team organize the event for them. And that was my first event at that job after switching jobs. Hunched over behind my desk. Remember the cord phones? And so from the desk, the cord is stringing down behind the desk, and I'm on the phone with emergency. My heart is thudding irregularly. And in that moment, what drew me to that moment, because I thought I was going to die. I didn't know what these were. I'm going to tell you what they were, but I didn't know what they were. And I thought I was going to die. And pretty much what threw me into this event was the belief that I had to do everything right. That this first big event I had sold and made money to the company and made people happy and gave work to artists, that it had to go without any cracks. It's like if, in order to keep my job and to prove my worthiness to be in this job, to do what I do, I had no margin of error at all. So that productive, go, go, go kind of work ethic of having to do things a specific way was so straight. It's such a straight line, a little bit like when you're in school and you have to go through the rule book to get all the straight answers or the straight A's. And pretty much what was going on is that I was having anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and I didn't know what they were. I didn't know how to live slowly without thinking that the present moment was boring. I have to tell you that when one of my friends was going to yoga classes, maybe 6 years prior to that time, I thought it was so boring. I would go to these spinning classes in a very dark room with loud disco music because that was stimulating for me. And that's a little bit like what the ego creates in us, that whatever work ethic, however you feel off track and wherever it might feel like you're struggling a little bit, that is not your soul self. That's not the truth of who you are. So that was one extreme, because then the opposing opposite force came my way when, after I healed from the panic attacks, having these heart monitors on my body, I actually went to do my second yoga teacher training in an ashram in Nepal. And we would wake up with the sun, and we would be silent from the moment we woke up. And then we would also go to bed with the sun and in silence. And there was 3 hours of yoga a day. And when I came back to the Western world, I took all of that with me, but I completely pushed aside all of my work ethic and all of the things that got the anxiety attacks going. It's like I crossed the big line and I was like, I'm not going there anymore. So there was no in between. It was either this or that. I realized how strict this 3 hours of yoga per day also was for me. And I did it. I did it for about a year after coming back from Nepal, maybe 2 years. And the same, here's the thing, that work ethic, the do it perfectly, the it has to be this only one right way, came back. But for the yoga practice, it was the do it right work ethic came back. And so I found my path by playing in the 5 layers of the self, which you will learn about today. Hence what we'll work on today, because life isn't only lived on what we see as humans, what we produce. It's also based on what we think, on what we on what we entertain mentally, and how we feel, and the energy that flows through us, the circumstances we play with. So it's like if when I was in Nepal, doing 3 hours of yoga a day was very doable because I didn't have the societal pressure, if you will, that I chose to abide by in the Western world. And so the habit of it was like in Nepal was different than here. And I just wanted to fit what didn't necessarily fit in my choice of living in this world now. And so who we really are actually has a say in how we get to spend our time and effort. So this is how all the Back on Track experience and the tune-in method and the Soul Connector Circle, which you'll learn about, it has all rooted from one of these experiences, which is the story I told you. And P.S., the latest Be Happy Now show episode, which is my podcast, by the way, if you don't know about it yet, the latest episode 150, I share my morning routine with you. I share how I go through the awareness wheel, how I go through the 5 layers of the self. And so you can totally listen to that as a bonus. It's a 33-minute episode that you can find anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also find it on YouTube at Coach Claudia-Sam. So we're going to go straight into the first question I asked you as a homework from day one before I share any visuals with you. Are you following me? I'm sharing so much. Are you, yep, smile, got it? Okay, cool. One of the homework questions I was asking of you is, what beliefs do you get to let go of in order to see a change about the way you see pausing, slowing down, being in the present moment? What beliefs do you get to let go of? Remember, we're decluttering. What beliefs do you get to let go of in order to see a change about the way you see pausing, slowing down, being in the present moment? And if you want to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. For me, in this story that I shared, it's a little bit like I got to let go of the belief that it needs to be one or the other, that I need to either completely stop working to find balance and what that looks like for me, and then practice 3 hours of yoga a day, that it had to be this certain way in order to not have panic attacks again. So it's like I was seeing that pausing was getting away from the work, from working at this job that I was at. So I get to let go of that working in corporate, for example, is bad. That was one of the beliefs that I got to let go of. Belief you get to let go of, resting is being lazy. Yeah, and you don't always have to be busy. Beautiful. Let's say it out loud now that you're muted. Let's say whatever you wrote, one of them, pick one. Say it out loud. And then take a deep breath in and open the mouth to sigh out and let it go. Let's say it again. Breathe in. Open the mouth, sigh out, let it go. Last time, we're decluttering. Say it again. And then breathing in. Exhale. Great. Now close your eyes for a moment. How does it feel? You've acknowledged this belief that you get to let go of, and you've presenced it. How does it feel to consciously go, I don't need you anymore? Can you relax your shoulders? Oh, see, I felt this is where you could enter the awareness wheel pretty fast, because now I felt my heart, for me, my heart thud like one of those panic attacks, because the human can be afraid of letting go shit. Okay. Hey, Megan, welcome. I'm going to share again in the comments. If you want to grab any resources, that's where you'll find them on our Google Drive. I'm going to go straight now into, we were just answering the first question of our workbook, and I'm going to share with you the 5 layers of the self. This is in your resources. Can you please confirm, give me a thumbs up. Can you see the 5 layers of the self? Got it. Thank you. So imagine that these are 5 pancakes. Oh, I love pancakes with a lot of syrup. Do you? Maple syrup. Yum. Okay. Imagine that these 5 layers are like 5 pancakes, one on top of the other. And when you pour the maple syrup over them, the maple syrup will droop all the way to that 5th layer, the soul layer. And in order to get to the most juicy layer, we get to cut through the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, so that we get to that 5th layer. That's a little bit like what we're doing here. And what we practice inside the Soul Connector Circle is for you to be present with all of these layers of yourself in a consistent way, so that feeling on track, having your own morning routine, knowing what's next for you, having the clarity, knowing what to do, being at choice, feeling empowered, it's all there because you're always present on these 5 layers of yourself. Okay. The first layer, the first pancake, is the body. So if you look at your body right now, you can extend your arms in front of you and turn the palms to face you. You can be like, okay, yeah, that's my body. You can touch your forearms, feel the muscles engage. Maybe you swallow. Maybe you smell. You can feel the breath move in and out of your body. Body speaks for itself. Yeah. So that's the body layer. The second layer is the mind, the thoughts, those beliefs that we're letting go of, they live there. Okay. And so the belief that you have to do things a certain way, the belief that stopping or pausing or slowing down is hard, or it's boring, or it's lazy, all of that, they live in the mind. So we get to be aware of them. The third layer is our emotional body. It's a little bit like, have you ever noticed a cloud of rain, just like it looks almost like a square of rain, and it's coming your way or it's going a certain way when you look at the distance? Like sometimes when you analyze or when you look in nature, you can see the rain moving with the wind, and it might be getting closer to you. That's a little bit like emotions. Sometimes it's not right here. Sometimes it's, you know, it's coming, or you've experienced it before, but it flows through and then it's temporary. This, and now I'm going to switch sharing before I go to the other 2 layers. These first 3 layers, that's what consists the human self, the small s self. Okay, that's where the awareness wheel practices from day 1 come into play. We handle the human first, because then we can calm the mind, let the emotions flow, handle the discomfort of the body before we go in deep meditation, before we have the clarity, before we can hear our intuitive nudges to know what's even next for us. So if I go back to those 5 layers, the 4th layer, I wrote energy psychic. You could also call it boundaries. You can call it intuition. This is where you start to access the realm of what's untouchable. That's beyond the human. And so please don't blame yourself. If it's hard to set boundaries. Like, do you find it's hard to set boundaries sometimes? Yeah. That's because there's three layers of the human above the boundaries. So it's like we have all this practicing to be human so that we can know how to set boundaries. So don't blame yourself for that. Then the fifth layer is the soul. That's the truth of who you are. And that's the big juicy pancake underneath everything that holds all of you. And that big juicy pancake, that's where the most compassionate, loving presence exists. That's where your truth is. That's where the authenticity lives. And sometimes it's hard to access because there's all these four layers you get to cut through first. So this is the dance: the small self and the big S self, the human self and the soul self. In other words, the head and the heart, the doing and the being, the thinking you have to do it right, the what the mind and the human thinks is on track versus what's actually yours. The belief that you have to work on something specifically for 21 days to get results, like write your gratitudes, but then the soul self's like, wait, but I want to feel gratitude. I want to feel it in my bones so that because that's who I am, gratitude. Gratitude is who you are. Gratitude is who we are. So there needs to be a link made between these two selves that right now are very distinct. Can you like share an emoji or something? Let me know that, are you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. Thanks for the hearts. There is now our link to workbook question number 2. So let me stop the share, and we're going to go to workbook question number 2. It is pouring rain here, guys. This is something. So question number 1 from the workbook, and I'm going to put it again in the, you can hear the rain? Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's pouring rain. Okay, quick funny story. Over the weekend, I was maybe 2 hours away from Nelson it's called the Marlborough Sounds. And there were slips. There was so much rain, there were slips. I couldn't get out. The road was blocked because there were slips and the rain had pushed nature down. So that was, well, funny or not. Here I come. Okay, so workbook question 2. I'm going to invite you to play and get creative here. You drank wine in that town. Oh, yes, your sister lives in New Zealand. Yeah. Okay, question 2. Get creative. Get a pen. Draw a circle if you want. It can be in the workbook. It can be like on Post-its next to you. We're going to play with your inner power. So this is kind of what it looks like, okay? Like circle, and then it looks like a bagel, but the big circle is going to be everything around you, hence like a tornado. And then in the middle, it's the eye. That's like you. You're in the center. This is you grounded and centered and pretty much on track. And everything else is circumstantial. So what exists here? Can you tune in to what exists in this circle? In other words, we're answering question 2. What external circumstances usually prevent you from living on track? Like when you're in the tornado and your hair is going like this because it's getting sucked by the tornado, you're like only 1 foot in the eye. What is creating that? What's knocking you off track? Just take a moment to write a few of these down or maybe draw something. What knocks you off track? Got it. Thank you, Julie. So money knocks you off track. Could we get more precise and say that it's beliefs that there's not enough money that throws you off track, maybe? Okay. The rain could be one. You could probably see it like in the reflection. Not really. But the rain could be something that knocks us off track. Rain as in actual weather shit, or rain as in emotions, grief, people passing away that actually we weren't expecting. And so we kind of have to deal with the whole bunch of emotions. Procrastination, not feeling good enough or worthy. I don't want it. It's too complicated. Yes, those kinds of thoughts. Lack of clarity and purpose. Great. Thank you for tuning into that. Can we put also in there people? Like, which people? Can you get specific maybe on your design, on your drawing? Like, are there people who sometimes will call you up or tell you something and then it's like you're knocked off track for the day. You started out well, but you feel like when they come into your day, shit hits the fan. Thank you for naming names. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's play here. As we're playing, we're in question 2, and actually let's go straight to question 3. How does this feel when you're off track, when you're knocked, when these have power over you, when procrastination, feelings or beliefs about money not being enough, these people that you're naming, when they're coming and they're pulling your hair into the tornado, what is the feeling? When you don't feel like you have that clarity, when the feeling of lack, of not enough, of there's something missing, even that feeling probably has you feeling maybe unheard or unseen. Why bother? Yeah, what the frig is the point? Yeah. Can you identify, if we play with what we went through in our awareness wheel in day 1, we played with when you enter the awareness wheel by emotions, you are propelled into tuning into how it feels in your body. So if you have, so perhaps why bother is like the mind. Would you say that that's it, Megan? That the why bother is the mind, like it's a thought? Yeah, okay. What, how does that feel in the body? Tell me which one comes first for you. Is it like something you feel in the body, or is it an emotion that comes from the why bother? Which one goes first? Feeling like a
I was
fraud?
like, do you want me to unmute?
Yeah, go.
Um, I think it's a thought and then definitely in the body. I guess it really kind of depends on the situation, but
Mm-hmm.
recently it's been more the thought and then the body. Like I just would rather not do this and then, you
Yeah.
know, like why should I? And then it's like, oh, that doesn't feel good.
So what, tell me, thank you. Tell me what's the not feeling good feeling? Where does it land physically
Oh
in
my
your
God.
body,
My God.
in your gut? What's the
Mhm.
feeling like? Is it like a sinking, heavy, twisty? What is it like? How would you describe it?
Yeah, it's like just like a pit in my stomach, like a rock, maybe more like a rock, because it makes me feel sunk to the couch or the bed or the chair that I'm sitting in.
Like
And
lethargic a little? Or
yeah, I mean, yeah, just stuck. It makes me feel stuck, like glue.
glue? Oh, yes. Like when you have gum under your shoe?
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. So you are hearing, why bother? What's the point? And then you feel physically like there's the rock. And then the feeling is, I'm feeling like a fraud. Is it the I am? Is it the I am who's feeling like a fraud?
You mean an I am statement?
Yeah, is it kind of how
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
comes through? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So that's kind of what we're just playing with. We're playing with identifying all these through in this awareness wheel, how your body feels, what's happening in the mind, and how would you describe it at an I am level of emotion. So I'm hearing from you, Julie, that it feels like you're unheard, unseen, and ignored. Thank you. And then, so when you're feeling off track, then if you want to enter the awareness wheel, I invite you to do that as well. And identifying where the unheard, unseen, ignored feeling lands in your body. And then what's the story in the mind? Yeah. To close question 3, can you tune in? Giving power to this getting scammed or procrastination or the beliefs that money, there's not enough, that thing that pulls you into the tornado, the power is now given to that. Do you see what I mean when I say that? The power is given to the circumstances, either the belief of it, either the person of it, whatever knocks you into the tornado. Now it knocked you off track, so it is more powerful than you in that moment. Do you see that? Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you. Does that feel empowering or disempowering? You can say empowering. Yes, it mostly feels disempowering, right? Yeah, no, you cannot. Thank you. Okay. So just be aware that when circumstances knock us off track, suddenly it's like we're giving our power away. We're losing that empowered feeling of who we are. So I'm going to show with you 2 different visuals that you have in your resources, but just stay with me for a moment. Can you see the energy frequency scale? Now, you may have seen this before. This is my version. And to kind of narrow it down, we're playing with the feeling of expansion versus the feeling of contraction. Empowerment, disempowerment. When we are, like what you said, what you shared, you're feeling, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I hope you didn't hear that. Okay. Disempowering. So, okay, we were talking that unheard, unseen, ignored. Why bother? Where would you say that this has you be while you're losing your power in that second, in the moment? Normal, you're human, okay? We're not blaming. But what would you say? You can just start by saying, does that feel contract in a contraction energy or expansion energy? You can start there. I'm a human too, yes. Thanks. Contraction, Julie, thank you. And is there more specifically in the zone of disconnection, below courage, in the contraction area, does it feel like it's entertaining one of those emotions? Fear. Yeah, we could totally see fear being present, especially when there isn't enough money or this shouldn't be happening the way that it's happening kind of circumstance. It can be in the fear, yes. And guilt. Okay, thank you. Yeah. To go with this. Now, quick side note, the idea is not to always be an expansion. When we're saying that we're wanting to be on track, it's that we are nurturing the ability to recognize where we are from the moment we enter the awareness wheel so that we can be in empowerment to choose where we want our energy to be. When we feel it in fear and guilt, we can choose to go, okay, do I want to stay here? Do I want to rise it up a little bit? And that can be going to have a pity party and get angry and throw pillows or whatever. I went to throw rocks the other day. It worked. We're raising it gently, gently up. Okay, it's about choice time and time again. So let me share this second visual that my team helped me create. Imagine, I'm going to explain it to you. Imagine that at the top, the abandonment near the what's the fucking point comment, that is like the narrow vision. Narrow vision, a little bit like the eyesight blockers from horses. Yeah, I always forget what they're called. But this, um, I like the language choice too. So imagine that when you're at the top of this, it's a little bit like you're at the V, at the bottom of the V of the energy frequency scale. Okay, just to give you a reference. When you're at the what's the fucking point, it's almost like you're at the lowest frequency possible. Narrow vision. This can be your gauge to where is my perspective. When I'm being knocked off track, when I'm feeling disempowered, I've entered the awareness wheel. Now, where am I? Where is my perspective? Where's my vision? So it goes from this narrow vision, fuck it, I'm abandoning. What's the fucking point? Okay, maybe a little bit wider than abandonment. There's a problem. I need to figure it out. A little bit wider. Wait, I'm going to go like this. There's judgment, there's lag, there's not good enough. We're comparing, we're people pleasing, we're doing things for other people, we're doing what we think we should do, what we have to do. Okay, now the vision gets a little bit bigger. There's an alarm, there's something to deal with, there's a pain, there's an emotion. This is where, when we are in the body or we can really recognize what's going in the body, how illness shows up. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I want to bring your attention, blinders. Yes, thank you. I want to bring your attention to the middle, the present moment awareness piece. When we nurture present moment awareness, that's when we can enter the awareness wheel because we're aware of the present moment. That's from where we can choose a little bit like, and now mind your eyes. I'm going to switch the share of the visual. It's a little bit like when you're in the middle place here between expansion and contraction. You're between anger and courage. You have the possibility to go up the frequency scale or down the frequency scale. There's nothing wrong with going either way. You decide because you are at choice, because you're an empowered being. When you are in the present moment awareness, that's when you can really decide if your actions come up from a place of alignment, if they come from a place of I need to, I should. Everything starts to go up and down the energy frequency scale to narrow or widen your perspective based on the present moment. All the way to vibrating at that high frequency of joy and abundance, like you can see in the wider and wider perspective. I'm not going to go into like knowing God and no suffering exists in the soul self right now, because that would be a little bit more of an advanced conversation. And we do get to play with that in the Soul Connector Circle. And where are my notes? I did want to bring you straight into the next question from here, because you can kind of pinpoint where am I, okay? So the question is the number 5th. Hang on. I guess question 4. Sorry, missed that. Question 4. The you who's in the middle of this donut bagel thing, the you who's in the center in the eye of the tornado, where is she? He? Where are they? Where are you in this vision or in this perspective gauge? When you are in alignment, on track, present with all 5 layers of yourself, where do you spend most of your time, your energy, your effort? Just take a moment to tune into that. Gonna see if I can share multiple screens. Can you see both? No. Okay. So you could also look at it. Now you should see the energy frequency scale. You could, thank you. So where the you who's on track, the you who's decluttered and who's believing new beliefs. Now we're going to let in our next few questions. We're going to let in those new beliefs. Where do you live? Where does that version of you live on this energy frequency scale? Yeah. Confident, motivated, happy. And let's take the question 4 to even a little bit further. The you who's on track, how does she deal with all these 5 layers? Like, what does she live mostly in one or the other? Or does that version of you play with all of them, eat all of the pancakes? And there may be days where it feels easier to be on all 5 than it is to not. Acceptance, remaining centered, she's balanced, great sense of self with your world. Yes, connected to source, living in a grateful heart, flow throughout. Amen. Yeah. Great. Now, we're just identifying that because we let go of a belief. Now, we're going to go straight to question 5 now. I'd love for you to take a moment to journal on what you want your relationship to circumstances to be like, knowing that this is the version of you that you are. You're centered, you're flowy, you're balanced, you're in acceptance, you're motivated because you know your worth. You cannot fail. So you're anchored to that. What is your relationship to circumstances? What is your relationship to that tornado around you? Let's take a minute to answer that. And if you're already ready to go to question 6, please go ahead. Analogy. Okay, wait. So who do you wait? What? Yeah, let me. What do you want your relationship with life circumstances to be like? Like prism. Prism? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Like a
Just came up with it.
prism. Like a
Prism.
prism.
Thank you.
You know, like where the rainbows go through it, like the light shines in it and then it bounces all over the place.
Yes. And all of a sudden, it's like a surprise. I've seen those sometimes. The light bounces through one of the pieces of my crystals, and then there's like a rainbow somewhere. And I'm like, oh, what a treat. Yes. Thank you. Julie, better than they are now. Yes. And that's where you get a bit more specific. Even though soul knows, when we can be at choice in empowered decision making, we help soul flow through us so that we can take this aligned action instead of being like, I don't really know. I'm going to let circumstances take my power away. Yes, I am not poor. I'm not a victim. Therefore, I honor my richness. I wanted to quickly share an example with you, and I'm going to show a picture. This is Bertha. Meet Bertha. We love Bertha. So Bertha, this is her on a hike. She went on a hike. She felt like during a whole summer, she was in this stop and go energy. And it's in the soul connector circle that she started to feel a spark again. Like she was back in her body because she was practicing present moment awareness. And it was beautiful because someone said that they could look at their eyes right now and that they were seeing this alertness happening, that she was tapped into her big S self again because she put herself out there honoring her soul's mission. She was living in this hike. This is where she started to go, wait a minute, I am more than those beliefs. I'm not a victim to my life. I'm not going to let those circumstances take me away. It's a little bit like, now I'm going to have you meet Genevieve. Genevieve is an ER doctor, and she was diagnosed with long COVID, and her energy kept going down and down and down, and she didn't feel in control. She definitely felt like taken up by the tornado. And once she started to do this work and use the present moment awareness on all 5 layers of herself, that's when she started to see the light within herself again. She saw that it was possible to get out of fight or flight, that she didn't have to fight life, and that she could allow more of the flow. And she says that she feels that choice with her energy now. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it's really powerful to see how other people can go through it and how they don't, you don't stay stuck forever. Okay. Let's go to question 6. Are you ready for that? Okay. Question 6. What belief do you get to let go of so that you create an empowering relationship with your circumstances? It's a little bit different than before. We were letting go of the belief or thoughts that we had around pausing and slowing down, pretty much being in the present moment so that we don't come up against any more resistance than we need to of the present moment, since this is our tool. What belief do you get to let go of so that you create an empowering relationship with your circumstances? Yeah, like I'm not worthy. Definitely. Let's give an example. Let's play with you. So you're saying that the relationship you want to have with your circumstances, Megan, is easy. You want it to be easy, right? Yeah. What might be a belief that prevents you, now, from embodying ease? It's too hard. Yeah, totally separate to ease. It could also be, it can't be easy. Life is meant to be hard. Maybe that's a belief. Life is meant to be hard. I'm meant to go through hardship in order to feel ease. Maybe that's a belief we get to let go of. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So Julie, in order for you, glad that resonates. If you're wanting to have a better than now relationship to your circumstances, what is that? If it's not ease, is it unbothered? Is it you want to remain in your power? What might it be? Knowing what you need to do next. Yeah, almost like the relationship you want with your circumstances is almost like clarity of the path. The thing is, this is where it gets tricky because the human, if I share this other visual with you again, the two selves, the smallest self and the biggest self, the smallest self wants to control. The smallest self thinks it is separate to the soul self. The smallest self lives separately, thinking circumstances are my enemy. I'm not going to work with them. I'm going to power through life, and I'm going to do it my way with all the logistics that I can plan in advance, that I can organize, that I can foresee. And I'm going to think of all the worst case scenarios so that I can have it all planned out. Yeah? Does that resonate like what's in your head? Me too. The thing is, when we live separately like that, that's where we don't know God. I said I wasn't going to go there, but it just is coming up. Over here, down there, it says, knowing God, no suffering exists in the soul self, being love, being one with love and acceptance. That is the opposite of living human and soul separately. It is merging it all, living on all 5 layers together. So when we want to have a relationship with our circumstances that feels easy, that feels like you know what you do next, can it come from a soul place? Can it come from a divine, intuitive, I have clarity because I'm a messenger of God. The universe flows through me, therefore I know what to do. Does that sound like something you want to have, Julie, in your life? That divine guidance? You're unsure. In other words, it's intuitive, it's intuition. And clarity comes with intuition. Would you say that that's true? Yeah. Okay, let's keep it at that. Let's keep it as at that. So the belief that you may get to let go of is my intuition is not strong enough. I don't have proof that it's going to take me somewhere good. That could be a belief to let go. This takes us to Q7. What beliefs do you get to take on now from an aligned place about life's ups and downs, about the power being taken away from us into circumstances? Maybe a belief is I can trust my intuition. Maybe the belief is I don't have to choose hardship. I don't have to make this weigh me down. I'm open to shifting my perspective. I'm open to taking out whatever other metaphor than an internal umbrella for the rain. If I'm going to go walk in the rain, I'm going to carry an umbrella and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to be present. I'm not going to let the rain ruin me because the rain is not who I am. I am worthy of living an aligned life. I am worthy of being guided by my intuition. What beliefs do you get to take on now from an aligned place? Sure, you can unmute yourself. Happy to. It's a cozy group.
Well, I wasn't sure because I hadn't heard Julie unmute herself, so I thought I didn't want to just keep doing that. But I put down there's a place for me in this world. It can be easy. An obstacle is just an opportunity, and I am more than worthy.
Thank you for sharing this. Yes. This might be what you want to write in the last question, which I think, forget the number of the question. I think actually it's Huh. There's two Q6s, but the last Q6 is Q8. And so it says, write your believable affirmation below. So I would love for you to write that there in the present tense, like you just said it to me. Yeah. Julie, you said I could do this. Can I hear you say it in a way that is believable?
I can do this.
Yes! Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. This can also be in your affirmation that you write. There's, I think it's on page 3 of the workbook. I think it's page 5, but anyway, it says write your believable affirmation below. And by believable, I mean sometimes you can add words like, I'm working towards believing I can do this. I am, you can write these fluid in between words to help you so that you don't have the human ego in the back of the mind being like, yeah, right. Like we want it to be believable. And so Q8 was, what belief do you get to let go of so that you can create an empowering relationship with your circumstances, which we've already worked on. So scrap that. That was a duplicate. Okay, there you go, duplicate. And you've got places where you can write additional notes if you want. I would love to open it up to questions if you have any. We're pretty much on time, so I'm really, really happy about that. Before we go to questions, let me just share with you that what you can expect on day 3. We're going to turn off the pressure valve to making alignment like something that you can actually get out of your head, get into your heart about, create your own inner alignment guidance system. So it's the in-house AGS system to get back on track sustainably. So you'll really get to go, okay, this is my own pendulum. I know what it's like for me to be in the middle, because now you know what it's like to have the circumstances take your power away. So you're getting more and more familiar with what it feels like to be in your center. And remember, on day 1, we worked on which kinds of morning routines could really benefit me? What could be something that is meant to go with how feeling on track feels like for me? So on day 3, we'll make spiritually playful and we'll let go of the pressure to do it right. Okay? We're continuing the work that we're doing. We're going to help you recognize what feels in alignment for you so that getting back on track is not only a today thing. So we do have Q&A bonus sessions that should be in your emails, but I will let you know that we have on November 12th at 4:30 Eastern, which is in New Zealand, November 13th at 10:30 a.m. We have a bonus day 4 Q&A, group coaching, ask me anything, get exclusive behind the scenes look into this process of what a morning routine looks like for me, of how it feels like for me to be aligned. You can ask me all the questions you want. And so that's it. That's kind of where we're getting at. So I'd love for you to ask any questions that you may have. Julie, I'm capable, good enough, and meant to do this. Damn right. Any questions? At the beginning, you said you wanted to feel uplifted and motivated. I think Lakshmi was saying that as well. How do you feel now?
Uplifted.
Uplifted. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I wrote better than I did when I got on here. So,
Win.
yeah, I feel very happy.
Well, I'm happy when you're happy. This is amazing. If you've never received coaching from me inside a Telegram group, let me just give you an overview of what it can look like. There is nothing really off limits of what kind of support that you may be wanting to get, even if you're like, I don't even know what to ask, but I'd love to get some support, just raise your hand, say that, and then we can enter a conversation. It could be by voice messaging, it could be by text. The group is a closed, cozy place where for the rest of the week, you get to have these conversations and play with your morning routine. Go out and play it. Commit to yourself. Remember your commitment from day one. And can you practice it? Make a commitment for yourself. Bring it into the group and say, this is what I'm committing to. Because getting back on track is no one else's responsibility than your own. And with upliftment and feeling better than you did before, then ease and feeling like you can do it is accessible. You know it. Let's practice. Let's flex that muscle, yeah? All right, I'll see you on day 3, which is same time in 2 days. So on Wednesday the 30th for the Americas at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Thursday for New Zealand, Thursday the 31st of October at 1 p.m. Otherwise, I'll see you on Telegram. Thank you for being here.